Radical right-wing media outlet, OAN, is attempting to resurface from the bottom of the trash heap, and they are doing so with a so-called exclusive interview with Donald Trump, which is really indistinguishable from North Korean propaganda. All of the same tired lies were resuscitated. The really wacky intangible here is the performance of the interviewer, whose name is Rion. We really can't tell this apart from one of those North Korea propaganda interviews. Now, first, check out just the introduction to the interview and the first line of the interview. It's desperately sycophantic. This doesn't even count as journalism, even in the US, and our journalism standards are really low, really, really low. Take a look at this.
President Donald J. Trump left an indelible mark on U.S. politics. From the 25th floor of his iconic New York headquarters, One America News sat down with our 45th president for an exclusive one-on-one discussion. There, he shared with us his forecast, his fears, and his hopes for America's horizon. In the process, we witnessed an illuminating snapshot into the mind of a man whose leadership in battles sparked a movement that forever altered the course of American history. This is an OAN exclusive interview from New York City, New York. Mr. President, we sit here in Trump Tower many days and many miles from what many Americans consider an illegitimate Biden White House.
In the first line of the introduction, she has to mention Biden isn't a legitimate president, as many people see it, Mr. President. When you crowbar illegitimate Biden into the opener, you know it's going to be utterly insane, and it got way wackier when Trump started talking. Here is Donald Trump ranting about a so-called third world election in the United States. And Chanel Rion just can't help but try pushing that same thing about, oh, fraud. Any day now, we're going to uncover the fraud.
And if we can't convince people that that won't happen again, or if we don't get right down to the bottom of it and change it, those people aren't going to be there to vote.
What
so
are
the
your
Republicans,
what's
the Republicans are going to have to do something, whether it's Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy or the leadership locally. They have to do something. There was an expression that I've heard that you've heard for many years. The vote counter is far more important than the politician or the person running for office. And that was the case in this instance for the presidential election. Very sad that this could happen. It was a third world election.
Well, it looks like a lot of that may well be uncovered very shortly.
It's being uncovered now.
Hopefully we see that.
And it'd be nice if the papers would report it.
There is so much going on here. First of all, on the technical level, why is the audio always terrible with these OAN interviews? The amount of room noise, background noise. Our tech is a disaster. We never have a background noise issue like that. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but my interviews never sound like that. How can OAN in an interview with the president not make it sound reasonable? What I'm realizing is that an interview with a real anchor or journalist and Trump, it's already wacky just because of the things that Donald Trump says. But at least when there's a sort of real interviewer, the questions can sometimes get back on track. There can sometimes be an attempt to hold Donald Trump accountable for what he's saying. What Chanel Rion from OAN is doing is participating in the shared delusions with Donald Trump. Trump says crazy stuff about fraud, and instead of asking for receipts, she adds to it by saying, oh yeah, any day now we're going to uncover the fraud. Here's another piece of this in which Donald Trump again claims to have blockbuster technology coming. This is great because for months he touted a new digital communication social media platform that he was going to be launching. And instead he just launched a blog. It's just like Blogspot technology installed on his website. And now again, he's teasing he has something really big coming.
So we had a couple of 100 million people. And the problem is, a lot of these platforms, you can't put that many people on. It just doesn't work. They explode. If you put 500,000 on, it's like a lot, and they can't handle it. And the technology just isn't there right now for that. But the technology is coming very rapidly, and we're working on something that I think will be a blockbuster when it happens. It's going to be something that's going to be special. But, you know, I've been offered companies for almost nothing, big chunks of companies that have platforms. The problem is they can't hold the people.
Yeah, the platforms out there just can't handle the amount of people that want to follow Trump. What? Facebook can't hold Trump's audience. Twitter can't hold Trump's audience. YouTube can't hold it. These are delusions of the highest level. And Chanel Rion is just helping him along. And then we get to the point of the interview where Trump again claims the election results aren't possible. He just doesn't believe that he lost. So obviously it must be fraud.
What people want to talk about is it all comes down to what happened in the election. Because you look at Georgia was fantastic. What happened to all those votes? What happened to all those people that were standing on the line, wearing red hats and wearing all sorts of things? What happened? And then you look at Michigan and you look at, how do you win Ohio in a record, and Florida in a record, and South Carolina in a record, and Iowa in a record, and then you lose Michigan and you lose Pennsylvania? We were up at 10:30 in the evening by so much in Pennsylvania, it wasn't doable unless something crooked happened.
It is abundantly clear that he will never move past this. He still hasn't accepted that he lost the popular vote in 2016. He will never admit that he lost in 2020. And it's the same talking points now 6 months out from the election. We were leading at 10 p.m. and suddenly there were these massive dumps of ballots and then we were losing. It's over and over and over again. The same talking point. Let's look at just one more clip and then we'll move on. Trump asked about Joe Biden on China. What was Biden's first mistake? Here we go. See if you can understand this.
China. What was Biden's first mistake?
Well, I think he made many mistakes. Number one, he's shown such weakness. You know, they have planes flying over Taiwan now. They never had this. You know, they never had these problems. You wouldn't have had this problem in Israel. They didn't shoot rockets when I was there. They're shooting thousands of rockets into Israel. That wouldn't have happened with me.
Well, within 4 years, your administration brokered historic peace deals in the Middle East. And within 4 months, the Biden administration essentially is overseeing a war.
Just total fantasy world views of how things work. Biden showed weakness, but then he says something about Israel instead. The question was about China. Now, I do think there are people who see interviews like this and they do think Trump has an idea what he's talking about. That's the really scary part. And we know that that's the case because 74 million people voted for the guy. But it's really something else how vapid and meaningless what he says is. And having a reporter help him along, as Chanel Rion did in this, it's very dark for what it portends about journalism in the United States. If you can even really still call this journalism, and I don't think you can. Let me know what you think. Very depressing and bizarre interview. One of our sponsors is Vincero Watches, giving you 15% off. A high-quality wristwatch is the perfect way to elevate your style. Own at least one watch that makes you feel great when you put it on. You can often see me wearing my Vincero watch on the show. Mine is the gunmetal vessel model. I'm a big fan of the metallic look of the face of the watch. I like the silicone strap. You won't find a better made watch for this good a price anywhere else. When you put it on, you know you got more than you paid for. Vincero believes in crafting super quality watches from high-end materials, but selling them at fair prices, which is why they have over 26,000 five-star reviews. And they stand behind every watch they make with a 1-year return policy and 5-year warranty. They'll give you 15% off everything in their store and free shipping at davidpakman.com/watch. Use the coupon code Pakman.